God.
It is 6 o'clock.
We still got a minute.
Well, somewhere in the world.
My phone says 6, so.
iPhone says 6.
Mhm.
Okay. The workshop meeting of the Park District of Highland Park is called to order at 6 o'clock p.m. Brian, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Bernstein is absent. Commissioner Flores Weisskopf is absent. Commissioner Grossberg,
Here.
Vice President Ruttenberg.
Here.
And President Kaplan.
Here. Okay, are there any additions to the agenda?
Not for me.
Lori? Nope. Okay. Community Park at the Recreation Center of Highland Park update. That's the small name we picked?
Yes. You should have seen the longer one.
You should, well, if we did it without the word update, it'd be shorter.
Sure.
But then it wouldn't be the same. So
True
thank
as
you very
well.
much. I'm here to report to you on the flood storage capacity building issue that we have spoken about. Hay and Associates has developed a concept plan for us. This is the one that we are using to apply for funding. SMC was generous enough to pay Hay to provide this concept plan, so I wanted to share it with you tonight. This is the property as you are used to viewing it in our conceptual plans. The red line indicates where this stormwater element would be fit in. Hay has worked this out so that we retain most all of the elements that we've developed with our advisory committee. We're looking at taking the water habitat garden off the plate for a little while, perhaps for some future use. But overall, we are even keeping the gazebo, as well as most of the pathways. This configuration provides plus or minus 50 acre feet of storage, as we had promised or discussed with the city and SMC. So here's the picture. So remember that you are looking, this is now oriented in a different way. So the left-hand corner of this drawing represents the North Pond. Our recreation center is on the right side. So this entire water body fits between the north and the south ponds as they exist today. We gain a couple of features if this were to be developed. There's a couple of nice boardwalks that would actually lead people to the gazebo and the berm climbing area. There's another boardwalk up to the north. These ponds are designed at the moment, of course there would have to be more study done, but they are designed to act independently of each other so that the North Pond could continue to be used for regular storm events and overflow in a higher times of higher storage into the second pond. But for the most part, they would be independent of each other so that we could put some water control levels in there if we wanted to draw down or raise up the water. So we'd have a little bit more flexibility with it. So the way this is designed, I think I had spoken to you guys last time about this concept of a hemi-marsh, more of a vegetated area with open water, about 5 acres of open water, and then these more emergent areas where there's plantings, shallower water, where we would attract different kinds of birds and amphibians and fish. So it really becomes this very cool habitat feature for the property. This picture represents open water. This picture represents on the edges there more of this hemi-marsh or open water access. So this is designed to be about 3 feet deep in general, and then is able to bounce up about 2 feet in order to provide that additional storage capacity. So not too deep, gently sloping shorelines, and very attractive for wildlife, especially birds. And then finally, I wanted to invite you all to River Day. River Day cleanup is May 11th, and that's going to be held at the community park. And everybody that is participating will meet us in the parking lot, and we're just going to do some trash cleanup along the river and along the east side of the Highland, on the Highland Park Woods. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we are moving forward now with construction documents, just to give you a little bit of an update on that. As we had anticipated, Hay and Associates has provided us with their proposal to do the construction documents for the elements. That was known that it would come down the line as they finished developing the amenities. So that proposal, which is in the budget, will be in your next meetings packet. Do you have any questions?
Mr.
Go
Rutten-
back to the
sorry,
pretty
Commissioner
pictures.
Ruttenberg has a question.
Yes.
First of all, thank you. Looks exciting. Are both ponds going to be wet ponds the whole time?
That is my understanding, yes.
And when you said that it would be designed so there's additional capacity, meaning it would rise up 2
Mhm.
feet, I think you said,
Yep.
beyond the...
The ordinary water level, yep.
Okay. And what do you mean when you say 50 acre feet?
Right. So that's a measurement of storage capacity. It's a volumetric or cubic measurement. So it's how many acres by how many feet. So we have a 10-acre water area, and it's going to be about 2 feet in bounce,
Okay.
which is one of the easiest engineering math questions I've ever heard of.
Right. And the impact on flooding.
hmm
What is the positive effect then from doing this to help relieve flooding? What are we getting to the community out of this?
We're getting a plus or minus 50 acre feet of storage. The watershed is very developed. There's not a lot of places to put capacity, so it's some additional capacity.
I have a question. A couple. So, can you go to the second picture? So this looks a little bit, in a way, like in the Botanic Gardens where you go over that bridge, or there's like lily ponds, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Will it have that kind of visual?
That is the kind of feel that it has. Yes,
Okay.
it's a marshy wetland area.
Okay, cool. And then going back to the previous picture, and you're mentioning this 50, I forgot how you called it, but during those 10-year rains that we
Mhm.
had, do we have any idea what the acreage was of that?
The flooded area.
Yeah.
You know, Terry, I would have to check into that.
Yeah.
But we can remember that these drawings were created based on that inundation study that looked at how big that area of flooding was
Yeah.
and tried to take that into account in this design. If I just had to say as a layperson, I know that that area that takes up is the part of the park where we see all
It's
the
the
washouts, and it's the worst.
It's the worst.
It's the worst
That's right.
part of it.
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to mitigate the situation, but we're getting these ever frequently placed 10-year rains, and
Mhm.
so we still could experience water beyond that.
I would
Yeah, I'm
expect
sure.
that's the case.
And then, in terms of the depth that they're suggesting, this 3-foot depth, is that what was the rationale behind the 3-foot depth?
Mhm. I think some of it is driven by budget. We
Okay.
we know how much the grant cost, and the biggest expense in work like this is excavation and taking dirt away. So the more that you can provide in terms of storage without taking away more dirt, the better. And remembering that where that bathtub is full to, the ordinary watermark, it doesn't gain you anything to dig deeper, right? So where this is located in topography, the ordinary high level is here, and you can get about another 2 feet of storage on top of it.
Okay, and then finally, my final question has to do with the overall picture that we have about this property and the Army Corps of Engineers and the river and Foxconn and all like that. Like how does this fit into that?
So we continue to be part of the conversations with the Army Corps of Engineers. Their study on the North Branch, which includes all the way up to Wisconsin, down to the county line. That goes on. The study is continuing. They're looking at alternative locations, perhaps including this site. think we mentioned that they could still come in and indicate that they had interest in this site, but that is down the road and to be decided.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next, Heller Nature Center Exhibit Improvement Project Update. Jessica Reyes.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
So we're pretty excited over at Heller as we are having an exhibit renovation. The last time our exhibit was done was in 2007, and it was with Lehman Designs, who helped design the space, and that's currently who we're using this time around to design our renovations. And the reason for that is we want a nice, clean, and consistent look throughout our exhibit. So the pictures I have are our current exhibit space, and the idea behind it is that we wanted patrons to explore the 3 different ecosystems we have at Heller, which is our oak hickories, our northern flatwoods, as well as our tallgrass prairies. So within this exhibit, you'll be able to experience all 3 of those different ecosystems. And when you are experiencing the interactive displays in there, it's to also get you to go outdoors to see what else you can find outdoors. So here's my starting information. I'm really excited. Now let's go outside and see what else I can find out there. So it's been 12 years. There's some needed, repairs and just some refreshing where we can get some old families back to see the new things we're going to be adding, but also to encourage new patrons to come out to see what we have to offer as well. So this is our fish tank, and if you see on the right, there's a flying squirrel panel, and at the time, the flying squirrel was a unique species we had at Heller, but we no longer see this unique flying squirrel, and so we felt it was just kind of dated and it was something we wanted to update. But one of the most popular things that we have at Heller is our fish tank. That's the first thing little kids run into, they want to look at, they want to see what kind of fish we have, but then from there they want to know, where's our pond? I want to go to the pond, see what we have. So we wanted to really emphasize this feature to educate the public more on what lives in a pond. So what Lehman Designs created for us was this pondarium mural. The idea is to know the different levels of a pond ecosystem. So up top, you see an image of a heron flying by, maybe a hawk. The next level would be what lives above the pond or on top of the pond, which would be dragonflies buzzing around, maybe some bullfrogs, snakes, turtles that are resting or sunbathing. And then in the pond would be our snails and the fish that we currently have in there, as well as some of those aquatic plants. And then what lives underneath in that sediment? Is it crayfish? Is it more snails? Maybe a burrowing frog in the winter? So just kind of a whole look of what lives at a pond. And it's just images, but from there they can go to the pond to try to find those actual creatures. And then where the flying squirrel panel was, what we're hoping to add is a interactive puzzle of who eats who, so a food chain. The hawk eats the bass.
Pleasant. That sounds very pleasant.
It does. Who eats who? It's our food chain, right? I mean, it's really important because kids want to know. They think maybe, the bass eats the hawk, but really it's the other way around. Or the heron eats the bass eats a bluegill. And it's a fun way for kids to interact and to learn about our food chain. And so it's either they can move pieces, maybe it's magnetic, maybe it's through a string where if they pull the string of the bass and they try to connect it to the heron, it's not going to stick because the bass doesn't eat the heron. But if they try to connect it to the bluegill, it'll stick to the bluegill. So it would be interactive in that way. Our next space we have a lot of use in here in a way where kids like to read books, they like to sit and play in here, but you notice there's not much in there. So we wanted to give families something more interactive, something more hands-on for them to do in this space. So if, for example, a daycare provider came or if parents came, they had something to interact with their child in this space. So what Lehman created for us was this creature theater. It's this multi-use box, and what's nice about it is it could be a theater. We could put puppets in there, they can play, come up with a fun story. It could be a touch table where we could put skins, skulls, maybe some acorns. We could put some pine cones that we find. We can also put special specimens that we find as well. Say we found a dead butterfly. We can put that in a case, put it in the center. Or if we find a living praying mantis, for example, that's something unique that we tend to find from season to season. We could put in this little terrarium and put it in the middle and display. So they can see a live praying mantis, and now they can go try to find it outside. Or maybe we display a salamander for a little bit in there, so now they can go outside and try to find salamanders. So it's very multi-use. We can also have scent boxes, so we can highlight scents that we have at Heller, maybe some mountain mint from the prairie, maybe some prairie dock or some soil, so they can go out and see, oh wow, I smell this scent of mountain mint. They know what it is because they smelt it inside. And then another idea was this rollout mat. And the rollout mat could be seasonal, it could be a map of Heller, and this play mat rolls out on top, and we would have these little, I guess, I forgot what I call them, pogs, or they could be animals, they could be trees. So if it's a map of Heller and a family just came back in and they mentioned, we saw a herd of deer on the red trail, we could be like, well, where did you see it? Show us on the map. And they could take those little deer and place them on the red trail. So now if another family member comes in, what they can do is they'll see on this map, oh, hey, someone saw a herd of deer here. Let's go check out that site to see if the deer are still there. Or, oh, there's these unique plants growing maybe on the yellow trail or some really cool mushrooms. Let's go check out the yellow trail. So it's a good way to interact, or even for our educators to use as well, to show people what's going on in what area. And that is it. Questions?
Thank you. Questions?
No.
Yeah. Is the fish pond's going to stay there with fish?
Yes.
I mean, the fish tank.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Of course, we would never want to get rid of that.
Well, yeah, I was seemed intuitive, but I just wanted to make sure.
Sure.
I'm just super excited about it. We're so blessed to have Heller, and the passion you guys show for it. It's infectious. I can't wait to see what you guys do with it.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jessica.
Thank you so much.
Is Annette back? You're up. 2018 year-end review.
Hello, everybody.
All right.
Pre-audit.
Okay. So, the auditors were here. It's already been like 2 weeks, really, 3 weeks. They were here during March. I am, based on the schedule of everything and the time it takes them to put it all together, I am waiting for the first draft. I should be receiving that next week. And then once we review it, they give it their final review. It will be presented at a Finance Committee meeting that's scheduled for Thursday, May 16th in the morning, and then at the board meeting on May 28th. So tonight's presentation is a district-wide overview of the 2018 financials. Similar to the budget presentation, the information is based on activity types rather than any one specific operational center. So why don't we jump in? So due to capital building and a plan use of reserves, the 2018 budget reflects a deficit of $7.2 million. However, year-end came in a little better. Due to project timing and operational expense management, 2018 year-end had a deficit of $5.9 million. So bringing it down a little bit to the different funds, these are our 5 operating funds. And this is kind kind of referring to the year-end column and then the variance column as I make my comments. So the general fund, it came in under budget with a deficit of $506,000. The special recreation fund was slightly over budget at by $14,000. The rec fund ended the year with a surplus of $553,000. The debt service fund also ended the year with a surplus of $4,000. And then, as I mentioned, capital projects used less reserves than originally budgeted and ended the year with a $5.9 million deficit. That was $1.4 million less than budget. Any questions at this point? Okay. So based on the district-wide activity types, the budget to actual variance is presented here, not the bottom line for any one of the areas. More detailed information was included in your board packet. It just gets really cumbersome up here on slides. So we just went with the variance difference. So property taxes were under budget district-wide by $291,000. And then during the 2019 budget's presentation, in the fall, back in October, we were discussing how District 112's move to full-day kindergarten impacted all of our programming for that age group. And you can see that in our programs being under budget by $281,000. With the delay of the opening of Sunset Valley from May to August, our fees and charges were under budget by $421,000. Camp revenue was up for the year by almost $5,000. And we're finding that as of April 1st, registration for 2019 has outpaced 2018 by 55 enrollments. So our camp presence in the community remains really strong. And then district-wide, which would include Hidden Creek, Deer Creek, and the Rec Center, memberships were under budget. Membership revenue was under budget by $126,000. So I know this is a little difficult to see on the larger TV there, but I think it's maybe a little easier on your monitors. This is focusing on operations, so property taxes are not included in this pie chart. Programs, camps, memberships, and rentals make up 78% of our operational revenue. Okay.
When you say memberships, is that to all of our different facilities?
Yes, again, it's district-wide. It's not to any one specific facility. Okay, moving over to expenses. Again, based just looking at the activity types, the budget variance is presented. As registration numbers come in, staff is always aligning their spending with the participation numbers, and as a result, expenditures for both programming and camps together were under budget by $67,000. With staffing, the $716,000 that was also under budget, but that's not just salary. That includes insurance and pension, both IMRF and FICA. And then contractual services, it appears to be over budget by $441,000, and this really has to do more with our budgeting process. We budgeted for those professional services in the overall and not under contractual, but when we were coding the invoices and paying things, we applied it all to the correct GL number. So that's more of a housekeeping thing than it is a variance. And again, here is another pie chart. Some things to note, that capital was broken out into two capital spending, which total about $24,000, or 24% of our overall expenditures, was broken out into two pieces. The amount we spent on Sunset Valley and Pogo, the large capital projects that were going on in 2018, as opposed to capital, which was more of the replacement capital costs, are just maintenance and repairs to keep things moving along. Part-time wages were also pulled out, and they came in about 6% of our overall expenditures. And then I don't think anybody is surprised, our largest expenditure to support our greatest asset is staff, and that was at 35%. And then this slide, we always review our fund budget, the fund balance. We do that during the budgeting process as well as at year end. So we'll be ending the year with about $14 million with our fund balance. I know that was a brief overview, but you'll be seeing this again in a month.
When we see it in a month, will we get a breakdown of the membership loss, the worst or the biggest offenders? I'm curious where we're losing our memberships.
We can actually answer that question. I thought it could. I tried to anticipate. Hidden Creeks was under budget by almost $20,000. The fitness center's membership was under budget by about $91,000, and then indoor tennis was under budget by $15,000. And I'm just kind of rounding those.
So fitness rec center.
Yeah, that's the biggest piece, but it is also our largest facility with memberships.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions?
Just
Or
quickly, what do you, how do you account for the staff number being so under budget? Is that just fewer people working harder? Is that, like, what would you, how do we compare to previous years on that?
I don't know how, comparing it to previous years, I did not look at that too hard. I'd have to come back to you and give you an answer on that one. But comparing it to budget, it really has to do with the ebbs and flows of staffing throughout the year. So some positions may have remained open a little longer than we thought they would because staff was trying to find the appropriate candidate. Maybe it took a little longer. I know that there.
Department.
What's that? I'm
The
sorry.
Parks Department.
The Parks
They didn't
Department.
Fill a couple positions.
And then as a result of that, we actually restructured the department in the 2019 budget presentations. We moved some people, they consolidated a few positions to create full-time ones because we were having trouble filling the part-time in the 30 to 39. So this year for 2019, I think they'll be better staff. They should be better staff. So we were never, I know we did not hire as many lifeguards. Had enough to, we were strong enough in our lifeguard pool that safety was never a concern or an issue, but I also know that we didn't hire as many lifeguards as we wanted. And then some positions that we didn't anticipate became open. Staff changed, moved, things happen.
And then I'm going to play Cal Bernstein on this one. Our end of the year numbers, those reflect the fact that we have maintain a safe balance in all of our different accounts mandated by the
Yes,
state.
we're in compliance with our fund balance policy. I think that's what you're asking me, yes.
Right? Wouldn't he ask that?
Yes, he would ask me that. He definitely would ask me that.
Did he text you?
He did not. He did not. I came up with that on my own.
Okay.
Anybody? Okay, thank you.
Don't go anywhere. Round
Yep.
2, post-issuance bond compliance report.
This is a task we do every year. So per our policy, we have policy 3.23 is the post-issuance compliance policy. It provides direction on record keeping, review of contracts, and board reporting. The post-issuance compliance reporting is a necessary step to document the continued federal tax status of the district's debt certificates and its bonds. Its purpose is to ensure that proper notice is given if the tax-exempt status of the debt issued has changed due to any action taken by the district. As the compliance officer, it is my responsibility to report to the board annually for the life of the debt plus 3 years. Chapman Cutler, our bond attorney, provided a checklist to assist in the review, It includes such thing as evaluating the private use rules, arbitrage, and then our EMMA reporting. Currently, the district has not entered into any agreements or taken any action that would have changed the tax-exempt status of the 2012A, 2013 debt certificates, or the 2016 and 17 bond issuances. All EMMA filings are up to date, so the current tax-exempt status has not been compromised in any way.
Okay.
Okay?
And lastly, vouchers.
The vouchers. Bills presented for the board's review this evening are checks written from March 15th through April 4th. They total $436,046.59.
Barney?
Yes, I did review. We're consistent with our requirements.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Annette.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone from the public like to address the board?
Please do.
On one only that I missed the beginning of the presentation, and as far as the ponds go that were discussed, is that something that's definite or something you were considering? And so when would the ponds be put in? On
Ms.
the
Grill?
golf course, the old golf course.
Yes, the concept plans that we presented are part of an effort to get funding. So that is a maybe.
So that's where you are right now, is pursuing funding, so this would all be more than 1, 2, 3 years in the future we're talking about?
Yes, I believe that the earliest start date for that particular pot of money is 2021.
Okay.
But let me ask a follow-up question, if I may. May I?
You must go in the chair and
State your name.
Rebecca, we're not going to defer the overall revisit we're doing to the community park. We're going to design around these features, though. Is that what I understand?
Peggy says yes.
and if Peggy says it, it is.
Yes, that is true.
Okay. I just want to make that clear because it might have been a lingering doubt in your mind.
Okay. Can I get a motion to go into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Open Meeting Act? Section 2C5, the purchase or lease of real estate, including discussion on whether a certain parcel of property should be acquired. Section 2C6, the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the district. Oh, that's all?
2C11? I thought we were going to...
You said something about a third something.
2C11 is litigation.
Don't we going to do something about that?
Tonight.
No? Not tonight? Okay.
No,
Okay.
those are the sections.
I so move.
Second?
Second.
Brian, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Flores-Weiskopf.
Aye.
Commissioner Grossberg.
Hi.
Vice President
Aye.
Ruttenberg. President Kaplan.
Aye.
Commissioner Ruttenberg is not present.
No,
No.
Mr. Kaplan.
Mr.
No,
Bernstein.
Mr. Bernstein.
Show that we are adjourning at
What'd I say?
6:33.
Commissioner Bernstein is not
We are in
present.
closed. Thank you.
Barney's here, but I
No,
guess
we're here to
he's not
talk,
really
and that's
here.
going to present
Jump on
something,
that.
Doug Culp's going to present something, we're going to talk about the easement.
I thought that she was presenting about that litigation.
Okay, I gotta figure this out.
Oh, I am.
Yeah, pizza's coming.
Who cares?
I gotta go with sales too.